Egypt's army has given the country's rival parties 48 hours to resolve the country's political crisis, or it will offer its own roadmap for peace. The statement came after anti-government protesters stormed the Cairo headquarters of the Muslim Brotherhood. 8 people died as the building was ransacked, a day after millions rallied nationwide, urging Mr Morsi to quit. Well, let's speak to Nabila Ramdani, journalist and specialist on Middle East affairs. A very good afternoon to you, Nabila. Do you think that he can stay in power?
Well, I'm afraid to say that this situation really reflects a perennial theme in Egyptian politics. That is to say, people attempting to rule the country either by democratic means or through a dictatorship, but the army is always lurking in the background and threatening to take over. And it has to be said that President Morsi's position is very much compromised at the moment. Who guards the guards is an expression we're used to hearing in any context, but it couldn't be more relevant here. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood is allegedly too weak to govern, and matters certainly came to a head when the burning and looting of the headquarters happened in Cairo. And the allegations against Morsi is that his government has failed, and therefore the whole democratic system is failing. And what testifies to that very strongly is that 10 ministers in his government have now resigned. And it's a strong sign that the Muslim Brotherhood cannot hold down power.
Yes, indeed. That must be the last thing he wanted to hear, that indeed his ministers are beginning to leave him. But just explain a little bit about the Tamarok coalition. Who are they, and are they any more organised than at the time of Mubarak's overthrow?
Well, they are very unlikely allies. They are effectively two big forces. One of them is is made up of supporters of the old regime, and the other faction is made up of people who fought the old regime. So it's a very unlikely coalition of people who are fighting for the same thing, really. They want to see President Morsi step down because, as far as they're concerned, he failed on two important factors in any society, that is security and indeed economic stability. But this was always going to be a huge challenge for President Morsi to get the country back on its feet, with 1 in 4 Egyptians living below the poverty line of less than $2 a day. And the economy is still very much in tatters. The tourism industry is particularly affected. And what this situation is really telling us is that Mubarak spent decades building a highly efficient and well-equipped army, and they are taking advantage of the chaos to impose their own rule.
Now, a very serious situation, clearly, for Mohamed Morsi. He has offered dialogue. Do you think that we've now gone well beyond that?
I think people are not expecting, they've already made up their minds about Morsi and his legacy 1 year on. I think it's a bit harsh as far as they're concerned because of the challenges I've just explained that were facing Egyptian society. But if you think that just a year ago, millions of people across Egypt were promised a new period of democracy and freedom, then this situation is entirely unacceptable. And particularly, the hatred of an elected military force will inevitably lead to more protests, more chaos, and more bloodshed as the army is trying to basically call the shot again.
Do you think that the Muslim Brotherhood will succumb to pressure?
They are putting on a very strong front. For example, they will address the nation shortly. The army will speak to the nation, and the Muslim Brotherhood has already rejected the ultimatum put to them by the military forces. I think Morsi and his Muslim Brotherhood party will try to explain themselves. They've made several attempts to address the nations, and President Morsi has recognized that he's made mistakes and he's ready to fix them. Will the people listen to him? That's another matter.
OK, thank you very much indeed. That was Nabila Ramdani, journalist and specialist on Middle East affairs.